is the relation given by the second order person below a function. So before we even attempt to do this problem right here, let's just remind ourselves what a relation is and what type of relation can be function. So in the relation, you have a set of numbers that you can kind of view as the input into the relation. We call that the domain. You can view them as the set of numbers over which that relation is defined, and then you have a set of numbers that you can view as the output of the relation, or what the numbers that you can be associated with anything in domain, and we call that the range. And it's a fairly straightforward idea. So for example, let's say that the number 1 is in the domain, and that we associated the number 1 with the number 2. So in this type of notation, you would say that the relation is 1, 2, and its set of order pairs. These are two ways of saying the same thing. Now the relation can also say that, hey, maybe it's a 1 of 2, maybe that so 2 is also associated with that number 2. So I'm just building a bunch of association. I've been visually drawn them over here. I'm just doing them as order pairs. We could say that we have a number 3, and 3 is our domain of relation, is defined for number 3, and 3 associated with negative 7. So this is the 3 and negative 7. So this is a 3, negative 7. This is not a function, because over here you pick any number of the domain and the function really, and just a relation, and just an association, sometimes called as a mapping of the domain and particulars members of the range. So you give me any member of the domain, I'll tell you exactly which member of the range it mapped to. You give me, I say, hey, it's definitely maps it to 2. So this relation is it's obviously a relation, but it is also a function. Now to show you a relation that is not a function. Imagine something like this. So once again, I draw a domain over here, and I do this big fuzzy cloud looking thing to show you that I'm just showing you all the things. In the domain, I'm just picking a specific example, and let's say that this big fuzzy cloud looking thing is the range, and let's say so let's build the set of order first. So one is associated with the with 2. Let's say that associated with 2 is associated with, let's just that 2 is 2 associated with negative 3, associated with negative 3 over there. And let's say on the top of that we also associate 1 with the number 4, 1 with the number 4. So let's think about its domain, and let's think about the range. So the domain here, possible, you can view them as x values or inputs into this thing, that you could be a function that's definitely a relation. You could have a negative 3, you could have a negative 2, you could have a 0, you could have a, well, we already lesson and a negative 2. So that's right over there. Or you could have positives 3. Those are the possible values that this relation is defined. For that, you could input into this relation and figure out its outputs. Now the range here, these are the possible outputs, or the numbers that are associated with the numbers in the domain. The range includes by 2, 4, 5, and 6, 8. Negative 2 associated with the number 4. Negative 2 is associated with 4. We have 0 as 0 is associated with the number 5. 0 is associated with 5, or sometimes people say it's mapped to 5. We have negative is mapped to 6 mapped to 6. Now this interesting, negative 2 is already mapped something. Now this ordered pair is saying it's also mapped to 6. And then finally we have 3 associated with the number 8. So the question here is, this a function, and for it to be a function for any number of the domain, you have to know that it's going to map to, it can only map the one member of the range, negative 3. If you put negative 3 as an input into the function, you know it's going to output to 2. If you put negative 2 into the input of the function, of all sudden you get confused. 4 or 2, 1 output 6. So you don't know if you output 6, and because there's this confusion, this is not function. You have a member of the domain that map to multiple member of the range. So this right over here is not a function.